Alright guys, so the embargo has been lifted and everybody today, audio-wise, is probably going to be talking about the Drop THX Pandas. Now this is a pair of Bluetooth headphones that is a collaboration between Drop and THX, which to me looks like a modern wireless version of the Oppo PM3s. They have some pretty impressive technology. I'm going to do this video a little bit differently because I really want to talk about what is making me gravitate towards using these, why I keep picking these up over some of my other headphones, and why I think these are pretty special at 400 bucks. Now, first off, $400 is a lot of money, but if you consider the technology that's in these, because these do have planar ribbon drivers, they're using a Qualcomm 5124 chip, which allows for aptX, LDAC, aptX Adaptive, aptX HD, AAC, SBC, pretty much all of the high-end Bluetooth codecs you could possibly think of. These are capable of playing. This is a pre-release version, so this one is actually handmade, although the official release version is going to be, factory made. So, take that with a grain of salt, considering I don't know how that quality is going to hold up compared to these, which I'm sure somebody paid very specific details to making sure everything was right. But I think this is an excellent pair of headphones. I've enjoyed the hell out of using them, and I've been excited to be able to tell you guys about them, but I couldn't talk about them until today, because today is the day that they start pre-ordering these, which all of that information will be in the description below. So first off, what are these headphones? Well, this again is a collaboration between Drop and THX, which THX is a company you usually associate with movies, because George Lucas came out with this to bring out better detail in the audio because he felt like things were missing in Star Wars. He had subtle sounds that when it's projected in the theater, he felt like it just wasn't being brought out. So THX was designed to be able to bring out those details, focus a lot more on audio, and so these have a THX AAA amplifier built in. So one of the first things that I noticed when I got the box is the packaging's pretty simple. Like, there's no logos, other than it saying Drop and THX on the outside of the box. Then when you slide that open, it's just a simple spiral design. There's no information, there's no details. It's just a plain box with a plain looking pair of headphones inside. So there's nothing to get excited about just simply by looking at these. Now you can tell inside the box there's a slot where there would normally be instructions. Mine didn't come with any. It just came with the headphone case, which is a fairly large case, but it's a nice hard case. But it also has a compartment inside that houses the headphone cable, because you are able to use these wired. Now I will say, if you're going to use these wired, I highly recommend plugging these into an amp, because that really is the best way to get the most out of these. So the headphones themselves are pretty plain Jane. They don't look like anything special. It's just solid black. There's not a lot of controls. There's no fancy touch controls. In fact, the way that they did the controls on these, I like a lot. They're basically using this little joystick on the back. There's only one button. So that one button allows you to play, pause, skip your track forward, go backwards, turn the volume up, turn the volume down. Everything is right there on that one button. And I love the sound effect that it has when the headphones turn on and when they shut off. It really reminds me of like an 80s arcade machine. So having that little nostalgia just by turning these things on, it just sounds really cool. Now the headphones themselves, the first thing I noticed was the headband does not have a lot of padding. Now the headphones are not necessarily lightweight, so I thought that maybe this was going to be an issue, but the silicone band that they used underneath provided plenty of padding. This was a pair I was able to wear for a long period of time. I guess the weight was just distributed evenly and it never got uncomfortable. Now the top of the headband is plastic, and for me would be something to maybe be slightly concerned about, just because build quality wise, whenever I see plastic on a headband, especially a pair that I'm going to spend $400 on, I would be worried that this might snap. Now the way that you adjust these, the aluminum that's down here just simply slides into the headband and it wraps down to connect to the headphones. Now the ear on the outside of the ear cups, these are also plastic, but without these having so many parts on the outside and without these having the ability to fold inward, there's not a whole lot of parts that you have to worry about. Now, as far as swiveling, they do swivel inwards so that if you have them and you take them off your head, you can swivel them down and they will lay right there instead of just sticking straight up. The ear cups on these are foam ear cups wrapped in a protein leather. Now these are extremely soft. There's a lot of give to these, and the ear cups are fairly deep. So my ears are not hitting the inside of the ear cups, which is where you can see your left and right are marked. The drivers that are in here are unique. I haven't seen these in a lot of other headphones. You don't really see a lot of planar ribbon drivers, so I was very curious to how well that THX amplifier is going to be able to amplify them, and I can say that these get plenty loud, and I never heard any distortion, which was really impressive considering that was just on Bluetooth. As far as your inputs go, it's pretty simple. On the left hand side, you do have your 3.5mm input for that headphone cable. On the right hand side, you have the USB-C input for charging. Battery life on these, you're going to get around 30 hours on a single charge, but if you do happen to pick them up and they're dead, a quick 10-minute charge is going to get you 3 hours of use. Now that comes in handy because I'm one of those that's the worst for making sure that all of my headphones are charged. So, you know, being able to pick them up, charge them for 10 minutes and get 3 hours of use is always welcomed. Now, as far as the microphones on here, it says that it has dual microphones. All the microphones that I see are on the right hand side, but I see slots for 3. So I'm not sure really if that's just kind of messing around with placement or how that works, but I will still give you guys a sample of the mic test so that you can be a judge here. All right, guys, so here is a test of the microphones on the Drop Pandas. This is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call. Now let's get over to the sound, because for $400, even though I think that's very inexpensive for this type of technology and these type of drivers in a Bluetooth pair of headphones, $400 is still a lot of money for a lot of people. And the initial thing is people are going to want to, compare these to the Bose 700 or the Sony 1000X M3s. And I'm here to say you probably shouldn't, because this is not that kind of headphone. These do not have noise canceling technology at all, which I feel like with the Sony and the Bose, whenever you switch over to noise canceling, you can tell that that technology is doing something to the audio. Like it's altering it, it's changing it. It usually warms it up a little bit or adds a little bit more thump in the bass, where with these, you're going to get the same sound on Bluetooth at all times. Like it doesn't matter, there's no EQ settings, which I really would have liked to have seen, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a second, because this overall is a very warm sounding pair of headphones. I felt like the detail in the mids and the highs were extremely great. I think these are very detailed, but something about the bass not having that overpowering boom or punch to them just kind of added a warm layer to it. Now, I'm not saying that these don't have bass at all. They have plenty of bass and plenty of thump to them, but it's not overpowering like a lot of Bluetooth headphones are. So that was one of my concerns when I saw that it had amplification at all. I felt that these were going to be very boosted. I was a little concerned that there was going to be distortion, and simply put, that just didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that these sound like a studio pair of headphones, although you can get that sound if you're using these wired. I think the best way to explain these is you have basically two completely different pair of headphones into one. Because if you're using them Bluetooth, you're going to get a certain type of sound. But if you're going to run these wired and you're going to run these into an amp, you can get a completely different type of sound. Now, I felt like using these wired opened these up a lot more. It brought out a little more detail and it added a little more thump in the bass. Where I felt like using these with Bluetooth, the bass couldn't reach its full potential. It didn't have that impact like a lot of other headphones, and a lot of people are going to prefer this sound. And overall, again, I think this adds to these sounding as natural as they do, because the mids sound fantastic. The mids never got lost in the bass. It never got lost in the other instruments that were going on. I think these did an excellent job of separating the instruments. I think these did a great job with the detail in the sound. The treble sounded nice and clean, but it didn't sound anywhere near harsh. So it didn't sound like they were trying to boost these too much. And I personally think that what they were going for is a very nice, natural, warm tone. As far as the soundstage and the sound imaging, like I said, it does an excellent job with detail of instruments. I don't feel like these sound as open as I thought they would. And maybe that's because having these type of drivers, I'm used to kind of hearing in open back headphones, so I'm used to a more open feel. Now this does feel like you're in a larger room, but I guess I was kind of expecting that concert hall sound and it didn't fit that. So although I think these are an excellent pair of headphones, I do have a few cons. This might be nitpicking, but I really wish that these folded down just to have, a smaller footprint if you want to throw them into a bag. I think with the amplification, it would have been nice to have had some app support so that you can EQ these a little bit. Now I know that you can have your own app within your phone, but if there was an app that was geared more specifically towards the headphones themselves, it would just feel like maybe you can tune them a little more, because everybody's taste in listening to music or movies or whatever is different. So to be able to have that control is just nice. But outside of that, I think this looks like a very clean, polished product that you're getting like superior audio compared to a lot of other Bluetooth headphones in a price range that's competing directly with some of the more consumer-friendly type Bluetooth headphones. This right here, in my opinion, destroys the Bose and the Sonys, but it is a completely different listening experience, and this isn't a pair that I would recommend if it's something you're trying to block out like your surroundings or airplane noise or stuff like that. It just simply doesn't do that. So overall, my experience with these has been just nothing but pleasant. I have loved picking these up, and I've reached for these more than I've reached for any other pair of headphones in the time that I've had them. In fact, I have to send these back, and I'm pretty sad that I have to do that, but I am going to be one of those that backs these because I really want to just listen to these more. But guys, that's my video on the brand new Drop THX Panda Bluetooth headphones. I absolutely love them. I highly recommend them. And if you want any more information, like I said, there will be a link below in the description. But guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.